Good morning from the Arizona desert. My name is Tom, and I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona, and this is tracking DoorDash numbers in the desert. Yesterday, I made a video, and I was not happy with the sound quality, so we're attempting to redo this video and give you kind of a sneak peek for the rest of the documents, just so that I can reward you in some way for going through that pain and suffering that you had to go through. So let me go through this document. This is the hourly earnings tracker. This is kind of like my scratch pad, my log, my journal that I use on a daily basis to track the hourly earnings. I've hidden a lot of things on this document just to kind of condense all the information to bring in the focus on what this document actually contains. So as I said, this is the hourly earnings tracker. Let's take a look at the different steps that you would have to take when you first start using this document. Up here, you would add in your goal for your hourly earnings that you're looking for, and what that's going to do is um, it's going to give you a baseline to be able to check your hourly earnings against that goal that you have and give you a plus or minus. Secondly, you'll come on over here to the hourly tracking and you'll select the year. Currently, we're in 2026, but if you want to do, say, take today's data and you wanted to go against last year, you could do that. So you could go against last year on a Tuesday. So the final thing is you come on over here and you select the actual day. This data pertains to Tuesday, so we have that selected. We have that selected as Tuesday. Now, this information right here, this is your actual earnings, and you do this every hour on the hour, about 5 minutes past the hour. So 12:05, 1:05, 2:05 in the afternoon, etc. And it's my belief that DoorDash has kind of skewed that just to make it a little bit more difficult for people to recognize that pattern. Not everybody is consistent as far as getting to their destination, getting into the merchant, getting out of the merchant, getting to the customer's location, dropping it off, all in its timely manner. Well, I've been doing this for 5.5 years, or a little bit more than that, over 47,000 deliveries, and as a result, I kind of always run at 3,500 RPMs. I'm always maxing out the system, so I don't think that they really designed it for somebody to do that and to consistently do this for 18 hours a day, and as a result, I see things that other people don't. I push the system, I max it out. I'm sure I'm a phenomenal data set for them as far as anything that they're doing because it's like I give them pure data all day long on a consistent basis versus say 3 hours out of the day, one day slow, one day fast. I'm always running at 3,500 RPMs. So again, this is the data that you would be entering in on an hourly basis. And then this goal that you set up here at the top, the $20, it would take this $18.50, 15 cents. It would subtract that dollar amount from $20 and give you a negative $1.85. And then over here, this is your historical data. Now, this data here pulls information from a different sheet, and I can show you up here at the top that there's data that gets pulled into this sheet. For instance, this here is the weekly average. So Monday through Sunday, this would be the hourly earnings on average that I did on a weekly basis. If you come on over and expand this other one, this area here now shows a breakdown Monday through Sunday and shows that uh, dollar amount. And the darker the color, the higher the dollar amount. So this data here for the historical data for a Tuesday would be pulling in this data that's over here inside of this column. And then this would show a plus or minus as to how well you did on those hourly earnings compared to the historical data. And then it would take this number that's on the bottom of Tuesday, this 423.79. It pulls it up here, and then it would give you a running total throughout the day as to whether you were plus or minus on an hourly basis against the actual data that you pulled in here. So if you took this 394.14, you'd see that we're actually $15.15 off of the 423.79. Now you do have the ability up here to change this information, and you can see that the lower the dollar amount that you select, it goes from a red to a yellow to a green, dark green, light blue, dark blue, light purple, dark purple. But if you said that you wanted to make $30 an hour, all this stuff is going to turn red here, right? It's all going to turn red because you didn't make $30 an hour. So all this information now, but it would just show you, hey, how close did you actually get? This hour right here, we actually did make $36.70 to that hour. We did a really, really good job. So if you want to use this to try and push yourself to say, hey, I'm trying to make $30 an hour and I really want to see how close I got, you'd be able to match that data and see just how close you actually came to that number. So you can use this tool as a motivator. We're going to put this back at $20 an hour. Now watch, if I change this over to say $15 an hour, then all these are going to turn green, right? Except for these four cells right here. I didn't even make $15 an hour 4 times yesterday, but I had some really good days. Some really good hours, and obviously then that offset all that. So let me throw this back over to $20 an hour real quick. You can also change out the year. So watch what happens if I change this to the previous year. You'll see that this data will disappear. So all this data here is going to now disappear when I do that, as it's thinking. So it disappears. This column here disappeared because all those numbers were off. And now it's gone ahead and it's pulled in last year's data and all those averages for last year. And then you can also change out the day of the week that you're currently in. So setting it up for tomorrow, the numbers change for the historical data for Tuesday. So 2087, for a Wednesday. So 2087, you see, is pulled in 2087 over here. So this just dictates what column is here, pulls it over for the calculation so that you can use that information to your advantage. Now I also store gas mileage, and so this is, like I said, it's my log sheet as to what I've done. So over the past week or so, this is the gas. This is the miles that I've driven. And then if I'm done at the end of the day with all this information, this used to have about a week's worth of space off to the side. So now it would take all this information and I could just move the data over here to log it and then put in the date up at the top so that I would have the ability to move that over to one of the other sheets and then let it do all of its calculations in order to be able to produce the historical data that's over here off to the side. And the one last feature that's here, which isn't a big thing, it's just to show you that yes, we've even dotted the I's on this here and come up to the top. And if there was a half pay or a cash tip, then we've hidden this column here, and then that would get added into the totals and thrown over here. So if you got half pay, cash tip, or any of that type of stuff, then that's where this would be. So let me set this up for tomorrow, just so that we're on the right thing. Tomorrow's Wednesday, or actually today is Wednesday, 2026, $20. And I'm just going to reduce all this. Now, I hit all this stuff off to the side mainly because I use this on a mobile app. And as a result, I don't want to have that scroll bar. I don't need all that information to get pulled in. So that's just why I've collapsed all that stuff. So let's take a look at the rest of the document just to kind of give you a peek view. We're not going to be going into any of this other stuff, but I just want to kind of reward you for going through the pain and suffering of yesterday. And let's see if this is going to work. Looks like it's thinking. So we've got a little dashboard over here, and this little area off to the side. These are called slicers. They're still populating, but this allows you to drill down and select this data, which will then change all this information. Like I said, we're not going to be going into that. I've got a habit tracker so that you have the ability to create habits and select as to whether or not you did these things. So for instance, let's say that I completed everything here. I just hit the space bar and you'd see the chart and everything up at the top automatically adjust and change to that information. And this is a way of doing something on a repetitive basis to try and make it into a habit. These 2025 stats, that takes all the information that I've collected in my AR tracker and pulls all this information to let me know what I did as far as large orders, the percentage, the number of deliveries. I've got this is my first quarter data. This is the AR tracker. The AR tracker is something that you're probably going to be very interested in, but this area up here that gives me insight as to everything that's going on, and I track things month offer, whether or not I pause or not, the name of the restaurant. It's got it's got up to 3 that you can do as far as batch jobs, so you can actually expand all this out and add in multiple businesses. But then this gives me a breakdown for my multiple businesses. I've gone through the DoorDash app inside of my zone and I pulled out every single business that's inside of my zone, and then this shows the number of times that I've actually visited those stores and which ones are my most popular stores. Who do I go pick up from the most? I created a little calculator so that when I first started, I would have the ability to add in the hour per rate, the number of miles, et cetera, whether it was a grocery job, and then it would automatically say accept or decline. So that was a neat little tool. I've got something I was kind of testing. Haven't come to a major conclusion, but that estimated time or wait time, 1 minute to 5 minutes. Does that show anything for DoorDash? So I kind of created this chart to see if I could figure that out. If you're a margin dasher, then this would show from a margin standpoint as to whether or not something was a profitable job at a glance. And the calculator, the margin, and the volume, these are tools that you could use with the flashcards or the screenshots, and you can go through and say, should I have accepted it or should I have declined it? And so I just kind of created some charts, and all this stuff changes up here as to whether or not you're doing $15 an hour or $20 an hour. This whole chart will automatically swap over and change. So giving you a sneak peek at the other document real quick, I've got to get going. We're going to come on over here, take a look at its dashboard because it has its own dashboard. And we'll be diving into all these different tabs in other videos. It's just going to take a little while for this to populate. We'll delve into all these other tabs in both sheets in other videos and give you a breakdown as to how each one of them function and how they're kind of tied together. And I'm not sure if this is going to work or not. It's thinking. All right, there we go. Stop thinking. So here's the dashboard. Again, it's waiting for the slicers to pull in. It's the reason why it took so long is because it's going out into the data and it's pulling all this information in to give you all these different totals. Like here's a fun little stat up here at the top, just as a quick glance. This is what I've made so far with DoorDash, just DoorDash alone. So why is there a seven-figure dashing investor? It's because like I said, I've been doing this for over 35 years, and I've made well over seven figures doing gig work. So DoorDash goals. This here is a sheet that kind of is a little command center. I've got financial goals and a breakdown for each one of these things. I've got weekly goals. So we'll break that down. We've got the milestone achievements, and obviously I don't have some of the data from when I first started. Tax rates, merchant information. The merchant information is where I track the stores that are banned on the platform and the possible reasons as to why. There's a blacklist and a gray list. And then this is just a holding tank for some of the drop downs. That's just some name fields. This right now, this looks like this is one of the name fields for the books and the book tracker. So let's go talk about the book tracker. So I believe that reading is very important, and so I track all of the books, and you can track all the books that you've read and the progress that you've made on those different books, who referred you to that book, who the author is, what you rated at. Right now, these are some of the books that I've read, some of the ratings and where I'm at actually reading them. I've read all of these books, but I was just kind of playing around with it to give you guys some additional information. This has got its own habit tracker. The habit tracker here is no different as far as the setup. And I just found this out on YouTube, and the guy went step by step to create it, and I just duplicated everything that he did, and I brought it in here. Goals and strategies journal. This pulls information in one look as to what's going on in 2027. So I can kind of keep a log. So anything that I make inside of this other document, any entries will automatically get pulled over here so that I can look at it all inside of one document, one tab. Let's see, we don't need to look at the yearly data. These are numbers. Monthly charts are numbers. Weekly charts are numbers. We can look at 2025. This is one of the other major engines, and this breaks everything down by month, all this information. And I only add in probably a third of this data. Everything else is a calculation, but it gives all the different totals, all the different averages as to what we've done. It breaks things down on a monthly basis. It lets us know if how many times we went over, $300, $400, $500. It breaks everything down by week as well and gives all that information. And so this is last year's data. 2025 hourly tracker. Now, when I do the information that's on my hourly tracker on the other sheet, this is where I actually add it. And so I would just go select the next date. And here's where the goal for the journal goes up here. This is where the goal for the start of the day, and then how did it end up at the end of the day? That would go down at the bottom. That would go down here. Let me do this. This is where the journal entry would go. I can keep track of any shifts that I do. This here, this is the hourly earnings that I add, and all the rest of this then gets calculated, and then that information gets brought into another sheet. Over here. So this is no different. The 2025 and the 2026, this is the current year. This is the hourly tracker. And then the 2026 data, it takes all that information as far as hourly earnings and gives a visual representation. Just can we see any patterns? As far as is something good or is something bad. So this is a weekly breakdown. Excuse me. This isn't a daily breakdown. And then I broke down, how do Mondays do? Is there any consistency on a Monday? Is there any dollar amount consistency on a Monday? And then I break it down for a Tuesday, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, and the calculator is the same as it was on the other page, and then just a change log for the document itself. So I hope this information was helpful, and I'm going to end this video and get this downloaded and put up onto the YouTube channel. Thank you for your time. I hope this was a much better presentation. I hope the sound is better. I won't know until I actually am done with this, but you guys have a great day, and I look forward to sharing each one of these different tabs with you over the course of time, and delve into the numbers. Every day the numbers grow, and every day they reveal something more. So let's go expose the truth. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later.